Hi everyone, Stefan Schuster here, and welcome to episode 15 of the Journey Running podcast. Really excited to be back on the pod. It has been almost a year since the last episode was produced, but excited to be back. It has been a busy year. I just finished 3 years of education to finally become a registered dietitian, so really proud of that accomplishment. Also, if you are tuning in on YouTube, this is the first episode that will be produced in 1080 HD. I just got a new camera, so trying my best to improve both the audio and the visual quality of the show. Please do remember that I produce this podcast solo. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time. That's one of the reasons I haven't been able to put out as many episodes as I've wanted to. But I do offer running coaching along with. Now I can officially say that I offer registered dietitian services. So please, if you're interested, check out the website journeyruncoaching.com. If you are interested in coaching services or want to contact me, there's a contact me page on there. Otherwise, you can reach me at journeyrunningllc@gmail.com. For today's episode, we have on my good friend Lizzy Rouce. In this episode, we talk a lot about Lizzy's ultra running career and her journey to running her first 100 miler, which was the inaugural Hood 100 miler, which just took place a few weeks ago, early August. Looks like an amazing event, and it was really cool catching up with Lizzy on her experience over there. Without further ado, let's get right into the episode. Enjoy the show. Thank you guys for your patience in me creating another episode and for tuning in. Enjoy. All right. Excited to be back here on the podcast. For today's episode, we have Lizzy Rouce. I said your name right. Finally, after 5 years, I said your last name right. I'm super excited to do this episode with you, Lizzy. It's been a long time in the making, though it feels like we just did this yesterday.
That's crazy. Crazy you would say that because we didn't.
This is our second time recording this one. We didn't like episode 1, so we're going with the second try.
I feel bad that I've never corrected my last name, but if it makes you feel better, I worked with someone who called me Lindsay for like a year and I never corrected him.
No, why?
No, I just because I was like in too deep. Like he did it like too many times, and then I was like, well, I was like a waitress. Yeah, it's okay. I told him
never
at, like,
knew
the
you
end.
were a waitress.
I waitressed for like a summer when I was in college, and and a guy thought my name was Lindsay, and so that was just my name to him. So that's okay.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
Lizzy, we're super excited to have you on the podcast. You just ran your first 100 miler at the Hood 100, which we are all super excited to hear about. There's probably not a whole lot of information out about that race just yet, since this was its inaugural year. So I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of people who are interested in hearing what your experience there was like. But before we get to it, why don't you just start off? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? I don't know. What do you do? How'd you get into running? Whatever you want to share, go for it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm Lizzy. I'm from Michigan. I went to Michigan State. I'm from like this part of Michigan for anyone that cares and is watching this on YouTube. And if you are not watching this, I'm just pointing to my hand. It's just a classic Michigander kind of situation. I moved to Colorado. This is my fifth, so it's gonna be 5 years this summer. I love cats. I have 2 cats. I have worked with cats for a long time. I also have a dog now, technically, but we have a complicated relationship. I am a creative writer, or I do that in my spare time. I do not professionally creative write because I don't like having people tell me what to do, so I just do it for fun. And I've been trail running for 3 years, I would say. And I ran like track, but I didn't really run besides that. I started dabbling in the trail running like 3 years ago. So, yep, that's all you get.
Oh man, there's so many things I want to comment on. You can see my Ohio State flag behind me if you're watching on
Oh
YouTube.
yeah, I
So
figured
go
that would come
Bucks.
up.
Yeah, I gotta.
Right. Yeah.
We'll just get it out of the way now.
Okay. Are we good?
how does it feel to have gone to a school that keeps losing to
Oh,
Ohio
wait,
State
you're
year after
still.
year?
We've had this conversation recently, not yesterday, recently. I don't know what's going on with Michigan State, but based off what you've been saying, it sounds like we've been doing a lot of losing. Is
Okay,
that
now I won't bring it up anymore.
is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all right.
Uh,
I don't go there anymore. It's not relevant.
it'd be nice if they got good again. It was fun when we dueled it out every year. But
I'm
anyways,
assuming you mean
this
football. Okay, yeah, not
yeah, yeah.
important.
Football. Anyways, um yeah, talk to me a little bit more about your running career. How did you start? How did you get into trail running? Um, what was your first race? You moved to Colorado, and before trail running, you were actually into hiking the 14ers here. So why don't you walk
Yeah.
us through like what your evolution was into running?
Okay. So 2019 was the first summer I was here. I was a big 14er snob. Um, it's kind of cringy now when I look back at it, but I mean, I guess at least I was like achieving my goals, so I'll let myself have that one. Um, yeah, I mostly just liked hiking 14ers. I think because it felt like a goal-oriented kind of hike. Like you get to the top and it's like woo, and like you get to there's 58, you get to count down like the amount that you do. I'm not like someone who likes to like mosey around like a hike. Like when I would hike in the winter, like when we couldn't get up higher, I didn't like that as much. So um yeah, I kind of liked the more intense you could relatively kind of hiking. And then I did that for maybe 2 summers, 2 or 3 summers, and then in 2021 I started very slowly inching into trail running. I started like running down 14ers with like my best friend Amanda started running ultras. Um, and I thought I wasn't like a big fan of running. It's just like a thing. I thought it was kind of dumb. So it took me a second to kind of um, relax at that part. But then yeah, I don't know. I just started running. I found myself in a group of all ultra runners, and I ended up just really, really liking it. I ran a 50K at the end of 2021, um, and I remember at the end of that, like crawling back into the trunk of my car and like looking at another race to sign up to, which I feel like is probably like a common experience. But yeah, that's kind of the general situation.
Okay, so first, why did you think trail running was dumb at the beginning?
Oh, I didn't really know trail running was a thing. I think I just thought like running, like I think when I thought of running, I thought more like road running, and I
Mhm.
had beef with road running for some reason. I think I just had like a bad relationship with running, and so I was just like, that's stupid. Um, and I didn't really know how to jog because I ran track and I ran track in high school. So whenever I'd like go out on a run with Amanda, I would like run a mile and then I'd be like, okay, like now what? Like I just use all my energy. Do I like keep going? Like I just didn't know how to like jog and like, go out. Um I forgot what your question was.
It's all good. For reference, if people don't know, Amanda Klebo was on this podcast a few episodes ago, so that's who she's referring to.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
also, I think it's really funny because when I met you in it would have been late 2019 through a mutual
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
another Michigan Stater.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, when I first met you, you were still in your hiking phase, but when you first got into trail running, um, you asked me, how do I run and basically not sprint? Because you said I only have
Yeah.
one speed and it's all out,
Yeah.
which was
That
the
cuz I that was my issue. Was I didn't understand like not like having different speeds. Um, like I remember when I would like go out for a run, like at home, like in Michigan, and I would tell my dad to go for a run, and then I'd be back in like 8 minutes or whatever, and he'd be like, "That's it," and I'd be like, "Yeah, what else would I like? What else do you do?" So yeah, I had to learn how to do that. That was a genuine question that I asked you. It wasn't to be funny.
oh, I know. At first I thought it was funny, but then when you were like, no, seriously, I need help. I think I told you to either use a heart rate monitor or more likely, I mean, RPE, rate of perceived exertion in ultra running is usually the way that people train. Just basically, we're we run races in like zone 2 and we train like 80-90% of the time in zone 2. It's like, what
Yeah.
pace can you have a conversation at? But how did you figure that out at the beginning?
Oh, I don't even. I actually have not. No. I mean, I think when I asked you that, I was probably running laps around Cheeseman Park in Denver, so that's like flatter and is more, I guess, like it's easier to be faster on that. But I think naturally the trails just kind of slowed me down. Like once it gets more technical, like I'm not trying to run like an 8-minute mile. I might be running like a 11-minute, like 12-minute, whatever, you know. So I think just as I got into more technical stuff, I just naturally, it was a very humbling experience for that to happen,
Well,
for a rock to slow my pace down. But
just one rock.
just one rock.
The first 50K you did, had a big, I can't call it a rock. It's fucking mountain pass that you go up twice. You go up Music Pass.
Yeah.
So your first 50K was the Sangre 50K in West Cliff, Colorado. And you climb up it's like 2,500 feet, if I remember correctly. But you do that climb twice in the race. So it's a lot, there's not a lot of like real running you can do when, I mean, how many miles of that race is just going up that mountain pass?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, good point. I think the out and back that's like rolling is maybe like a 13 miles, but even that I definitely hiked a lot of it. So it was probably good for me because most of what I was doing at the time was still hiking, and then I would just like run sometimes. So I think that was
yeah,
probably in my favor. But
I know that course well because it was my first 100 miler. But how did you choose it for your first 50K? Was it what you just said, or?
um, so I would say the actual reason that I started running ultras and the reason I was at that 50K was my best friend Amanda and we were actually, well, we were at your apartment, but you weren't there, which is a different story. We were having a wine night.
Wait, what?
And yeah, you weren't there. You don't remember that? I don't know where you were. But yeah, like we were
This was
you came
2021.
later. Yeah, you came later. You just weren't there at the beginning.
I think I was running Bighorn.
Okay, regardless. Um, maybe I think you knew this. Okay, we're not gonna air that out now. But yeah, we just drank too much, and I basically woke up like hungover with a race registration in my email, um, that Amanda signed me up for. Originally, I think it was like maybe like a what's the other distance at that race? Like a 30K. I think it was like an
Oh, they have a
18
lot.
mile. Yeah, I think originally it was like 18 miles, and then I realized that that wasn't like much farther than like some of the 14er distances that I was doing. So I just switched it to a 50K. Um, and then yeah, so I didn't know anything about the race.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you
So
actually skipped running a marathon and went straight to from 0 to 50K.
yeah. I I think I did like a little bit of um like COVID running. I mostly did Muay Thai my first couple of years in Colorado. I did Muay Thai. I trained in Muay Thai and then I did 14ers in the summer.
Oh
But
yeah.
they shut down my Muay Thai gym because it's like, it's kind of gross for like COVID related purposes and just like in general. But
Oh no.
so when I couldn't do that, I would walk to Cheeseman, run like a lap, which is I think like a mile and 1.4.
It's one.
And then I'd walk
It's one
home.
1.42.
Oh, okay. So I did a little bit of that, but then once my Muay Thai gym opened again, I didn't run anymore because like yeah. So
So
I don't
from
remember. Yeah.
I was saying you skipped running a marathon
Yeah, I don't
and then
know how
did
I
your
got to that
50K.
part. Yeah, yeah, I pretty much just didn't run. I never had interest in running a marathon. And I liked I think the 50K just worked for me because ultras are so much like hiking and so yeah, I just had more interest in doing that. I never really considered running like a half or a full, and I still like don't really. I don't know who's to say. Like it's crazy. So
That's funny. And then 2 weeks after you ran your first 50K, you ended up pacing me for a section of the Moab 240. And
Yeah.
that was a
I think
marathon long section that we did.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yes, I was that how long after did you say? It was pretty
I
like a
think it was
couple
like
of
2
weeks.
weeks. It was
Yeah.
2.5 weeks.
I think I might have had like a little bit of a stress fracture from the 50K. So I remember I didn't do anything else. Like I didn't do anything and then I went to crew at Moab, which I think was my first crewing experience. I have to think about it. I was at Leadville for like a hot sec, but I think I just like drank hot
Mhm.
chocolate and just like looked around because I was really confused at like the whole thing. But I think that I think Moab was my first legitimate experience, and it was very odd and enlightening at the same time for me to watch just how the crew process works. And that, yeah, that 26 miles I will always remember because I think that's the most pain I've ever been in my life.
That's crazy considering, we have a lot of your running career to get to still. But I mean, that's pretty crazy considering some of the things you've done since that point in time. What made that
Yeah.
section like in particular so, I hate to use the word painful,
Uh,
but painful.
yeah. Okay, there was a few things. One, I didn't quite understand like the eating part of like running or walking. So I think because I knew we were going to walk a lot of it, I didn't think I needed to eat as much. And so I didn't eat a lot at all. So I think part of it was that because I remember like bonking pretty bad and it was like embarrassing because you were probably like 180 or something into the race and I, walked a marathon and I was like, I wasn't like hallucinating, but I might as well have been. Um,
Fascinated on that section.
it was cold. So I think my legs were tight. I also couldn't like I have like chronically tight hamstrings and I hadn't quite figured out how to like manage that yet. So I think I just had a lot of hamstring pain. Um, and yeah, that's probably
Oof.
mostly it. Besides
So
that, I mean, we
stress
had a good
fracture,
time.
hamstring pain, and lack of fueling.
Yes, but we did take that one break where we like laid down and looked at the stars for a second. So that was like a nice relief on the old
Yes.
hammies.
So for background, Lizzy paced me from mile 140, which is Dry Valley at Moab 240, to mile 167, which is right before the LaSalle's. It's all flat, but both times I've run Moab, that section has gotten the best of me.
Yeah, it's a sneaky section.
the but we had a really cool, that first year was epic,
Yeah.
because we had a really clear night 3 days into the race, and it was like the first time during the race. I had a really tough first 2 nights. So that third night, finally, like I could enjoy the stars, and we kind of just lay down in the middle of this like flat dirt road and stared at like what felt like just a real life planetarium. It was pretty
Yeah.
epic.
Yeah. I think pacing you too as like my like the first person that I technically paced was good because like you're generally pretty like self-sufficient. So I didn't have to do a whole lot because I just didn't know anything.
Oh, dude,
Like
I don't know. So
I mean you
this
were
is,
kind of like whiny, you know?
I thought I was gonna die. Well, the section started really great, and then, we had the first part was in the daylight and we were moving pretty well in the flat section, and then the stars came out, and that was epic. But then I started hallucinating. I saw snakes like for
Yeah.
like miles. It felt like everywhere,
Yeah.
and then after that, it turned into I thought I was gonna die because I wanted to go to sleep, but it was too cold to go to sleep on the side of the trail.
Yeah, I remember I turned my head and my headlamp like lit up this guy that was just like passed out on the ground and I didn't really know that was like a thing yet. And so I was just like, is this guy good? Like is he dead? Like does he need help? But he was just taking a trail nap, I think. I guess I think he was.
He was probably good.
Yeah,
Um,
he was fine. I feel like people
so
at those distances should have like a sign that they put on their backs that are just like, I'm just taking a trail nap.
yeah, I'm laying down on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is intentional.
So I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but you've had the pleasure of pacing and crewing Moab 240 twice now, two
Yeah,
different years. Um,
yeah.
what is something that you think crews should know about before they're crewing and or pacing a 200-mile race?
I mean, you're not gonna sleep very much, depending on how you set up your sleeping situation. I mean, I think either way, you're probably not going to sleep a lot. If you're doing Moab, I would suggest going to the Moab brewery as many times as you can. I think that's like a good safe space for crew. Um, and if you might not be able to get into Arches, but there's Arches close by that aren't in the park. So that's a side note. Besides that, I mean, you kind of just got to throw yourself into it and expect that the crew is also going to have emotional kind of ups and downs in the same way that the runner does. It's just in like a different context, and you just got to, have a plan to deal with that for, if you're having a hard time with your crew, you just got to suck it up as soon as you see your runner. So I think just, finding ways to kind of collect yourself when necessary is important, and try to talk to a lot of people, and talk to runners, and just try to make it as fun as you can, because it kind of sucks sometimes in a good way.
One of these days I will crew and pace someone's 200 and get to see what the other side is like.
It's a really special place, the other side. I think it was helpful for me too that you let me do your social media, because I had so much fun with that.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I logged into Lizzie's phone with my Instagram account so she could update my friends with everything that was going on. I highly recommend doing that if you are running an ultra that is. I don't do it for all of them. I think for both Moabs, those are the only times I've done it, but it's really fun when your friends and family following can see like what's going on. And I have like saved all of those stories on Instagram, so I like go back and even watch them myself sometimes. They're pretty funny.
Yeah, I've gotten compliments. Like I think I did recently. I don't remember. I think it was Joy brought it up when we were out for your birthday. But yeah, I really appreciate when people, because it's all about me, obviously, at your 240. But yeah.
Well, you do a good job with it. Your creating writing skills really get to shine.
Thanks.
Are you working on any creative writing projects?
You know what? Something that I don't even know if I told you that I started doing this. I started making like a satire trail running magazine called Just for Run, like just for fun, but it's run. But I never finished it. I wanted to like write like, I don't know, horoscopes based on like, your running shoes or something. I wanted it to just be like a fun running magazine, but I never really got to it. But maybe that's a project I should start actually finishing, because I like designed a cover and everything. It was like pretty legit, and I just stopped working on it. So
Amazing.
to answer your question, I'm always kind of working on something, but I never really finish it.
Dude, I would subscribe if you like had a monthly issue for that.
Yeah, I think it'd be hilarious. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll settle for some tall trail tales on Instagram that you do the.
Those are easier for me because they're shorter. Like I think I wrote the last one the Hood 100 one in like 10 minutes. It's just easier for me to write stuff that's short. So
yeah,
straight into the point.
Nice. So what was after you ran your first 50K? Skip the marathon. Fuck that. Too short, too easy. Skip the marathon. Went to the 50K. Paced a marathon at Moab, and then what did life have in store for you after that?
Oh, that's a good question. I signed up for the Zion 100K, and then I injured myself pretty immediately trying to race for that, or trying to train for that. I'm assuming, let me think. Yeah, I think that's right. I think.
I actually just opened your ultra sign up.
So
you ran it. Looks like you ran it. Oh, you deferred it, yeah.
Year. Yeah. I learned that I have to do other things besides like just run. Like you gotta, stretch or do PT and stuff like that. I wasn't doing any of that. And I got an IT band related injury. I'm pretty sure it happened, or like part of the reason is because of Bear Peak, which I have a distaste towards Bear Peak in Boulder.
You live so close to it.
I know. But I think, like, I keep saying I think I know these things. I got like a watch and I started buying running clothes. Because I didn't have a watch my first two races. The first race I drew one on with pen, and then the second race I borrowed our friend Dave's, and I think he was embarrassed by my time because he deleted off his Strava. So I'll have to revisit that with Dave because that was a couple years ago now. I don't even remember what my time was, but
He probably just deleted it because he didn't want the miles to count for something he didn't do. Is my
uh,
guess. Because he has every mile. David Bronlick, who is episode 3, I think, he has recorded every mile that he's ever run, walked, and hiked. I think since he started like doing any endurance sports. So that's probably why he deleted it. Anyways, he said I couldn't have you on this podcast until you ran your first 100-miler. So I'm still excited to talk about that. I had a question that is escaping me. What was it, Stefan?
is it Dave related?
No, it was about you. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, that makes sense. Uh, is it about? Oh, I don't know. I said I was it about me
Oh,
starting
yeah,
to like
I remember.
try to be a runner?
It was kind of just a point that you were hitting on a second ago, which is that, early on in your ultra running career, you experienced a few injuries. And I
Yeah,
think that that's really normal, actually. All of us, all of our bodies are slightly different, and everyone who's in this sport is likely going to have at least a slightly different PT routine that helps them stay healthy. For most of us, I know there's some people that
yeah,
get away with not stretching or doing any PT exercises and
yeah,
whatnot. I personally, I have a routine I do starting about a month out from all of my any 100 or 200 miler that I run. I do that, but it takes a little while to figure out what exercises you need to do because the only way to figure out what you need to do is to unfortunately have pains flare up.
yeah. Um, I hope my physical therapist never hears this, but what I thought worked for me, at least this summer, and my training for the 100 was only about 12 weeks, so I'm kind of curious if it was longer, if maybe some issues would have happened. I don't know. But I found like a yoga with Adrian, like 10-minute, like it's almost like speed yoga for hips. And I did that like multiple times a week, and it actually like I actually think it was doing a lot for me. I tried doing like some more PT, like with weights and stuff, and I felt like I always just it just felt like it was like overloading my body with the running. So I, I think I still have to figure that part out. But the yoga did work for me um, this this time around. So we'll see how that goes. But
Nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm doing downward dog.
There you go.
Yeah,
So is that the are those things what got you to? So I'm looking at your ultra sign up and looks like the first 100K you ran was also Sangre,
yes,
and that was in 2022.
yeah.
What was that like?
Um, okay, this is gonna sound really weird until I explain, but I think that summer it was the easiest thing that I did. And by that I mean I don't mean like the distance itself isn't incredibly difficult. I just mean I think I'm trying really hard not to say that I think because I'm noticing that I'm saying it and now it's pissing me off. That summer I did a lot of things in the mountains that like freaked me out, and I was very fearful for a lot of the stuff that I was doing in the build up to training. Um,
Hmm.
and so when I got to this race, I felt very relaxed because I felt very like taken care of. You know, I wasn't doing like self-supported stuff where like I might I'm worried about being like struck by lightning or like falling off like and obviously I didn't need to be doing these specific runs to train for 100K. That's just like what I like to do, I guess,
Mhm.
or at least it was what I liked to do. And I was doing a lot of the 14ers that were to me more exposure, not to everyone, but yes to me, and found
Mhm.
myself in some situations with weather. So a lot of the stuff that I did leading up to this race I just was in just I think I just was holding in a lot of fear for multiple months. And when I ran this race, it was the hardest distance that I had done, and it was difficult in a lot of other ways, but I was not scared. And so to me, it was like, in a weird way, easy is not the right word, but like it was a nice way to end the summer because I was not spooked. I was like challenging myself in a very safe environment, I
Yeah,
would
so like
say.
compared to being above tree line at 14,000 feet with like class three on climbing class three peaks with storm
Yeah.
risks, you're doing big days. Like I'm pretty sure that was
We
the
did like
summer where
Rito
all of us did.
Alto.
Yeah, like Rito Alto. I was
Yeah.
gonna say the Four Pass Loop in Aspen.
Yeah.
Like these are long mountain days with where you are self what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're self-sustained. Like you have to bring all
Yeah.
your food, all your water, or like a filter. But meanwhile, then you go to a race, which is a pretty controlled environment and on a
Yeah.
course that you have been on before.
Yes.
So you knew it pretty well too.
Yeah.
That sum it up pretty well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not having that fear made it a lot more smooth sailing. So it was kind of interesting to have that contrast because I think I was the most scared about running that distance. But then when I got there, I was like, ah, like I get food every, you know, 6, 7, 8 miles, like that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
obviously I don't mean it was easy, but I think the things that I feel are the hardest are usually involve fear. And so yeah, it came
So
it came, it was very nice. Oh, go
talk
ahead.
to me a little bit more about that. How many 14ers have you done? So 14,000 foot peaks in Colorado. How many have you done? And is completing them still on your to-do list?
Yeah, I've done 40, I believe.
Whew.
And you can, a lot of them you can kind of get away with not having to do too much exposure. I think there's only like a handful of ones that I've done where I'm like, oh, that was kind of suspicious, or to me, obviously there's people that don't notice that stuff at all while I'm like dying inside. I don't understand. I don't know if it's a goal of mine. The summer that I'm talking about, in 2022, the one where I ran my first 100K, I think I really freaked myself out, and I started to like doing that stuff a little bit, like less and less. And so I don't really know if it's a goal. I think it'd be cool, but there's a lot, I think, for me to think about, um, on if it's something I genuinely want to do or if it's just something like an old goal that I need to just kind of set to the side and, let myself enjoy things that I actually am enjoying. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have some FOMO with that. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups and people look like they're having the time of their life, but I know how I have been feeling on those mountains, and it's sometimes like probably a dangerous for me and other people because I like my response is to freeze when I'm scared, like completely. And so that's just not safe for anybody. So I need to find ways to work through that if I want to continue to do like more exposure kind of stuff,
Mhm.
which might mean, I don't know. Like everyone's trying to get me to go rock climb, like indoor rock climbing, and I'm like avoiding it. But I'm sure that would help at least a little bit with like being comfortable moving my hands and my feet. But I haven't done that yet. I've been, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the lessons and purposes of doing hard things is to find your limits. And, we don't always have to tough it out. It's
Yeah,
not mandatory. You can learn a lot from toughing it out, but in some of like the scenarios you're talking about, toughing it out means like climbing up a class 3 or class 4 mountain, which to those who are not familiar with, that means exposure. You can fall off a mountain or like in some cases routes are ranked very difficult because of like potential for rock fall. Like I'm thinking of Mount Sneffels, which has a lot of scree,
yeah,
so loose rock that can, you know, just because you're safe doesn't mean the person 100 yards ahead of you doesn't accidentally kick down a rock or
yeah,
like a mountain goat could. So, there's dangers that are out of our control. And especially if you don't like heights, like I don't like heights either.
yeah,
Um, I have come to terms with the fact that when I moved here, hiking all of the 14ers was also one of my goals. But I've gotten to the point where I realize maybe this is
yeah,
not one of those projects that I finish because what I have learned through the process of trying to do them all is that uh, I don't feel comfortable putting my life on the line too. Like the goal doesn't matter more than my life.
yeah, yeah. And I was getting just more and more articles. It must have been like an algorithm thing because I don't remember seeing that as much like before, but just like articles about people dying or getting injured or like just kept coming to my Facebook and I kept reading them and it just made it worse and worse. And yeah, I mean, I had to kind of think about, risk and what I'm comfortable with. And that's been kind of a long process and
Mhm.
difficult when I know that like other people want to be hiking 14ers that I'm friends with. And I like just
Mhm.
don't know if I want to anymore.
Yeah, this makes me think of like a few years ago in 2020, I ran the Bear 100, and at mile like 50-ish, I took a weird step, and I felt like something in my shin maybe had like or my ankle muscle is like my tibialis anterior had felt strained in a way. And during a race, sometimes pains come and go. So I was like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
this will go away. But it just progressively got worse and worse to the point where like I was limping pretty badly at the end. And I actually went to an urgent care like a day or two after the race and they gave me crutches. Like that's how I couldn't run for like a month after this race. But
Yeah.
like when I look back at that experience now, I was 25 at the time. I still felt like I needed to prove to myself that I was tough enough.
Hmm.
But now I think if I was in the same situation, I would take the DNF over the finish. I like to think I would actually. And
Yeah.
I
I would.
think that because I
Yeah.
think a term that comes to my mind is maturity. And maturity, I think, is making the decision that you maybe don't like, but that is right for you in the long term in order to be happy. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, maybe you feel similarly about like the 14ers with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting that you think you might not, you might have DNF'd today if that happened. I always like was curious about that because I helped you get out of your car or like unload your car after that race, and I didn't know anything about ultras at the time, and I was just like, why is this guy on crutches?
That was the most pain
And
I've ever been in a race.
yeah, and I think for a while too, I kind of thought of mental toughness and ultras as like how much pain can you put yourself through, like you know what I mean, and now I think of it a
Mhm.
lot more as like knowing yourself well enough to quit if you need to, and you know, still having that mental toughness when you're in discomfort, but that's not like the only thing that it's about, and that's like a definition I've had to readjust. I think getting into ultras, not that I've ever been someone who's gonna like go through as much pain as possible. Like I'd probably tap out pretty quick, so it's probably good for me that I redefined that just for like my ego.
Yeah. See, all this is about a lot more than I think like checking off
Yeah.
boxes and finishing goals.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What is a favorite memory of yours that you've experienced during a run or a race?
Okay, well, obviously, I did get engaged on Saturday. Today's Monday. Um, to my now fiance, James. You were there, and Amanda was there as well. It was in Rocky Mountain. So that, I mean, that kind of that just takes it all for me. I have a lot of really fond trail memories, but the four of us together at that lake and yeah, being engaged to James, that was just like a really, 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 really good memory. I'm never gonna forget that.
How do you like the
And
scavenger hunt he made?
okay, so I liked it, but I will say to anyone listening that there was one clue that Steph was holding, and he was hidden behind trees, and the joke was that he was
Oh,
on one knee, but I couldn't tell from where I was. It kind of I thought maybe he was
well,
like
you might want to
super scared.
explain what the scavenger hunt was first.
Oh, okay, sorry. So basically, my fiance James, he had a variety of little clues and pictures, and I kind of had to find them throughout our hike. And James or Amanda were assigned a clue, and so they would hide them or they would give them to me depending on like the situation. But this particular one, Stefan was holding. And I saw from like kind of afar, he was behind a tree, and he looked like he was like bent over or like squatting. And so I thought he was like going to the bathroom, But then I walked up and he was just on one knee with the note, which was a lot cuter than what I originally thought was happening because we were really close to a lake,
Well,
so I thought that was just not like trail etiquette at all.
he
But yeah,
gave me the clue, and I was like, "Where do I put it?" He was like, "Anywhere," and I was like, "It would be really funny if I got on a knee."
I mean it
and
was funny. It was
but
just
like held it
initially,
up for you, and anyways, it didn't work out like I thought it would. But
yeah.
you got the clue.
And I feel like despite I won't say what you had going on, but like our car ride was really fun on the way there, and it was just like a good day. The weather wasn't. I mean, the weather was fine. It didn't rain. We didn't do exactly what we wanted to do, but I think that kind of goes into our conversation because there was like a ridge we were going to climb to get to Mount Alice in Rocky Mountain National Park, and it was kind of it was just like in the clouds. It looked cold and like rainy, and I was just kind of like, eh, like.
Yeah, and
But
you
I wanted, yeah,
not to mention you ran your 100 miler like 3 weeks ago. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I keep forgetting that that happened, and then I go out and I'm like, I'm kind of slow.
you've had a pretty good month.
I know August has been crazy.
First 100 uh and engaged.
Yeah, which
Pretty
is good
insane.
because well, we can talk about this later, but that was yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep the suspense going for the Hood 100. Um,
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about your Never Summer 100K because that race holds a dear memory in my heart. It was my first 100K. I've run it twice. I have paced it uh, once. I paced Amanda, and I have volunteered there twice. So I've been to the race like five
Yeah.
times. I love that race.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but I would
Yeah, it's
love
a
to
great
hear
race.
your experience there.
Yeah. So I ran it last summer. Um, Last summer I kind of was. I think I had like the outdoor blues. Like I wasn't really super motivated to get out and do stuff like I have been the last couple of years. I thought maybe it was my age, like I was getting old, but I think it was just wasn't really like my summer. Um,
Oh, you're
I
27.
I know that's like, well, you and James are always like, oh, once you hit 26, you can really start feeling everything. I'm like, I don't know what that like. What, I just don't know what that means. I feel fine. I thought maybe I was growing out of it. I was a little bit worried I was growing out of wanting to do stuff outside. I think I just was. It was just like not as high energy of a summer for me. But anyway, so training for number summer was kind of like I did run 100K the April before, so I did have like miles in my legs, and it's not like I didn't train at all. But when I went into it, my goal was just to finish. Well, what was my goal? I guess it was just to finish. I was trying to not have like a time in mind because I tried being faster at the Zion 100K, which is the one that was a few months before, and it like wasn't a great feeling to be thinking so much about my time. Um,
Hmm.
so James, me and James both were running it, and then you came with us, I think, right? And you
Yeah, I was
tented,
there.
yeah, and we slept in the car. We both got really dehydrated because we didn't bring any water. So when we started the race, I think it was like I say a different number every time, but I want to say I was 30 miles into the race, and like or 40 maybe, and I hadn't peed yet. Like there was like yeah, it was like not ideal. And the reason I realized I hadn't peed was because I was hallucinating. We weren't even that far into the race. I was like seeing stuff in the trees, and I like looked down at my watch, and like I'd been out for like a while. Um, so that was the beginning of that race. Not the most important part, obviously, but I always like to bring that part up because I was like kind of having fun with the hallucinations. I was like, woo.
What were you
um,
seeing?
just like animals and stuff in the trees, but it wasn't like scary hallucinations. Like I was kind of like giggling to myself. I probably looked like a weirdo if anyone like was around me. I was having like a good time, I think. And then I'd say so that race I did, it was the first time I didn't have a pacer. Um, and for reference, like time reference, Never Summer took me 22 and a half hours, whereas my other 200Ks took me like 15 or 16. So this ended up being the longest I'd ever been out. Um, and I never run through the night before, and I ran through it alone. and I was just terrified the whole time. I don't even think I took caffeine because I was so like alert because um and yeah, I got like a bloody nose in the dark. I had like blood all over my face. I tried to catch up with some groups and like run with some people, and that was kind of like on and off. Um, but it gave me, I finished at like 4 in the morning, I think, and it gave me a lot of confidence that I could, one, not have a pacer at a race, two, run through the night, three, run through the night without a pacer. And then also just get through running for that long through the night without like losing my mind. I was part of the reason that hundreds scared me so much was because I was scared I would like lose my mind. Which I might have because I claimed to see a high altitude porcupine at like mile 50. I actually, and I talked to the race director about it, and he was like, I don't think those are like out here. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
we
that
both
exists.
made fun of you at the at the cabin at the finish line.
Did I tell you I emailed him and I was like, hey man, like upon my recovery of that race, I think that might have just been a fat possum. And he wrote back and was just like, it can just be a porcupine. Like we can just keep it as a porcupine. I was like, sick.
It turns
Um,
out there are porcupines in Colorado. So you might have actually seen one now.
all I remember is this big animal waddling in the middle of single track trail. And I was with two other people that I think were like European. I don't remember, but we were just like, what? Like, get out of the way, bro. Like, cause it was like a very narrow trail and it was very large and it was hogging the trail. We all had to like kind of, go out of our way. So it was bad trail etiquette for that guy. um, yeah, I feel like that's kind of. And then I saw you at one of the aid stations, which was very pleasant. It's very nice to see a face of some, or two aid stations. It's nice to see someone that you know, especially when you don't have a pacer. But yeah, great race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My knee was hurting from Cascade Crest when I was there. I'm sorry I couldn't pace you,
Oh
but it sounds
yeah,
like it turned out to be a positive thing for you in the long run.
yeah. It was in my favor, and I think for like the fear reason that was one of my harder races because I was terrified for so much of that. So scared. Wow. Yeah. Um, yeah.
So I'm looking at your ultra sign up. It looks
Oh God.
like well from I don't know if there's so was there no races between Never Summer and then running the Hood 100 this year?
Me and Amanda did that 60K. Was that on there?
60K. Which one?
Silver Heels. That was like in
Oh,
my
yeah. I haven't seen
in
HPRS races are
Sangre.
on they're on run sign up and they haven't been loading to ultra sign up. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah. Like my Silver Heels is not on ultra sign up either.
Yeah. Oh,
So that's why
okay.
I'm not seeing it.
Sangre 100. I don't know if that would actually be on there because I dropped
That one
out.
is.
I don't. It is?
Just the recent ones are not showing up.
For some reason I thought. Okay, so it does say I DNF'd.
Uh you have 0 DNFs on ultra sign up.
Oh, that's not true. Oh, that's because I think John changed it to not show DNFs like around the time that I DNF'd. The Hi Annie. My cat is coming up and she's probably here.
Just don't tell anyone. Lizzy has 0
Well,
DNFs.
yeah. I mean, it
If it's not an ultra sign up, it doesn't matter.
it didn't
Never
register in
happened.
my brain as one because I dropped out at 30. It was more, I think I just snotted like all over my computer. Okay, it's fine. It was more of like a sad long run.
How was the Oh yeah, so first of all, how did you pick the Hood 100? I want to hear that because you live in Boulder, Colorado, and the Hood 100 is yeah, just name implied, it's by Mount Hood and
Yes.
it's in Oregon. How did
Yes.
you settle upon that race to be your first 100?
Well, I started by looking at races in August and September, and then I didn't want to run Sangre 100 miler, which is in September in Colorado, because I've done that course and I needed a break from. I'll probably just volunteer this year or something. And then Leadville, I didn't get in, which is fine because I actually considered taking my name out of Leadville for some reason. I don't know what I had going on, but I didn't really want to run Leadville. And then in August and September, I saw that the Hood 100 had a Hood 100 hoodie. And I'm just like, I just really love alliteration. And I thought it just sounded so fun. And, they had a really great website.
Really?
Design kind of.
Scissor
Yeah,
does it?
I thought they had a really nice website.
Take
And
note,
then, yeah,
race
Hood 100.
directors. You need alliterations and a great website. And you got Lizzy's money.
Yeah, I know, for real. And I'd been to Mount Hood once before in 2017 on like a trip with my mom. I did like a short kind of hike around. I knew people that were doing it's like I think most people through hike it, but it's like the circumference of Hood. And so I hiked a couple of miles with them. It was the summer where I realized I liked hiking. So I was still figuring some stuff out. I didn't do a whole lot. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, most of it was the hoodie. I'm not gonna lie. I texted you, and I had another option that was in either Oregon or Washington that like just wasn't like hitting the same for me. And I texted you, and I was just like, how should I pick a race or something? And you were just like, whatever speaks to you. And then I decided that I wanted to get the Hood 100 hoodie, which I'm wearing right now. And yeah, that's honestly how I picked the race.
That's funny. I look for the opposite in a race website. I want a race website that looks like it hasn't been updated since like the 1990s. My favorite website so far. Well, I really liked Cascade Crest's old website. I'm sorry. They updated it and it looks so good now, but I liked the old one that had like this retro countdown that looked like it was made with like, I don't know, code, like whatever the old code was, Java or HTML or whatever. I love the Mogollon Monster website. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do Mogollon, because it looked scary.
Really? I'm gonna look at it. Wait, I really
Their website
think
is like
design...
it's like a black background with like red writing. It looks so intimidating. I thought it was great.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh, they might have changed it.
Oh, did they?
It looks a little bit more. I mean, it's a nice website. But I see.
They updated it. No.
Yeah. It's a little bit more. I feel like this is kind of.
I think that's why one of the reasons they haven't had more than like 100, 150 runners a year there is because the old website probably scared people away.
Oh my God! Did you know we've been pronouncing it wrong? It's the Mogollon. What? I thought it was Mogollon. It says Mogollon in the pronounce. Anyway.
I'm so disappointed.
I had no idea.
That was like one of my favorite. Anyways, the real question, Lizzy, is did you wait until after the race to wear the hoodie after you finished, or did you wear it before?
I waited. I wore it at the airport, and it just says Hood 100 with some trees on the side. It doesn't say like 100 miles or anything, or have any indication that it's a race necessarily. Like if you didn't know, I don't know, you might be like, what does that mean? So I don't know. I was kind of like limping through the airport and going real slow. So I don't know if people like put that together. I like that it's a little bit more subtle, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I feel weird walking around with a shirt that's like big, like a giant 100 on like the front.
Yeah.
Just like I'm just not like a braggadocious person like that.
And then it's like 50,000 feet of gain and loss. You lose one eyeball at mile. It's just like too many.
Yeah.
I don't know where the eyeball thing came from, but
the people you want to recognize the shirt are the ones that like will get a subtle reference.
Yeah. James said he saw someone at Leadville wearing the Hood 100, and he was like, "Yo, bro, is that the Hood 100 hoodie?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I'm hoping that'll happen to me at some point, because they think it's gonna be like a classic race for the Northwest, Pacific Northwest.
Oh, did you see it just became a Western qualifier? They announced that like today.
Are you serious?
Yeah, wait, I'm pretty sure I saw the right thing. I got
I
fact
mean,
check real quick.
it was a really great race
You
for
wanna
a
you
lot
wanna
of
talk
reasons.
you wanna talk about your race experience, and while you're doing that, I'll double check that fact.
Yeah, but are you gonna be listening?
I am. Don't worry. I already got it
Okay.
up.
Um, my
It
race
it
experience
is
was fabulous.
a Western qualifier.
Like as
So
of
we,
next year,
yeah.
but like so mine didn't count.
Oh yeah, for 2026. Sorry,
Are you for
not for you.
real? I mean, I'm not really trying to run Western states particularly, but still. Dang.
So
Well,
you're right
okay.
though. That is an indication that it is going to be a major race on the West Coast.
Yeah,
Especially,
definitely.
it sounds like not just you, but from other people on social media, it sounds like it was a hit.
Yeah, it was really great. Um, I don't even know where to start. Well, for one, I think okay, Mount Hood is kind of spooky to me. I think the prominence is like insane. Like it just kind of comes out of nowhere. So we'd be like driving and we just see it like pop out of nowhere, or I'd be like running through the trees and like there'd be a break in the trees and like, there it is. Um, so that was unique for me because I'm used to mountain ranges and like, the foothills and all that stuff. But it's really just like right there, like all at once. Um, so love Mount Hood for that. The trails were really, really nice. Very soft. There was one part where there was like a little out and back and it was a lot rockier. It kind of felt like a little bit more like Colorado, and it went out to a waterfall, and I had hit caffeine right before, and I got like the zoomies, and I was like passing everyone, and I really liked it because it felt very Colorado. So I was like, you weren't like, it wasn't like you could kind of use your hands to like go over rocks. It wasn't like that technical, but compared to the rest of the course, I had a good time. Um, and the first half was net downhill, which I was very aware of and cautious of going into. And then the second half was like a net uphill, which I was also very aware of.
How is the
uh,
how's the weather out there? I feel like you sign up for a race in Oregon early August. There's a good chance that it's going to be like 90s or even 100.
no, it was really mild. I mean, the race started at I think 4,000 and went, I don't know how much farther down, like kind of low. I don't think it was like sea level, but like lower. Um, yeah, this isn't like information that I store in my head. I don't really carry a lot of logistics. I don't have that much space in my noggin. And then I think it went up to like 6,000. That also might be wrong. I don't know. But the weather was mostly like in the 60s and it was overcast the whole first day.
Oh wow.
At night, it was maybe in the 50s. I put on a jacket like a couple of times, but I was also wearing like a short sleeve shirt for a lot of it. So, and it was very humid, so it wasn't, I don't know. It was different weather for sure. The morning after, it was sunny and I'm like a little bit muggy, but for the most part, I think the weather was like pretty ideal, like running conditions. Like I don't know how much better it could have gotten that first day, if I'm being honest.
Was
So,
was the whole race single track?
um, it was mostly single track. There was a couple of like dirt roads, and we were on cement for like a hot sec, like barely. You crossed like a road on cement, but it was mostly single track. Yeah, just really really nice trails. I can see why people like running over in those parts.
It's great. The ground is so soft from all that rain, but there are
Yeah.
like a million tree roots.
Yes, the tree roots were a little bit. Actually, the only time I fell, it was a rock. It was just like one rock. It was the only rock in the trail for like a mile, and I tripped on it.
It's just
And
the
I
one rock always slowing us down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. To really circle back on my comment from earlier, that really slowed my pace. Um, I'm trying to think what else. The only thing I thought was kind of was that they didn't do hot food until much later in the race. And I don't, is that maybe that's normal? I don't know. I feel like usually there's like one hot
I
food
feel like time
spot.
of day matters for that more than
Okay, so maybe
mileage.
time of day matters. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like if they start serving hot food around dinner time, then
Okay, then they did that right. I think I just
Yeah.
wanted really. I was eating a lot of fruit snacks and Oreos, and it wasn't doing it for me at all. But once they started bringing out the hot food, I really thrived. I think I felt better the second half than I did the first half, actually, just because I was like eating like a madman. Like one of the stations, I ate like two mashed potatoes. I had a pizza wrap. I got a pizza wrap to go. I had broth, and then I smashed a Red Bull, like burped, and then just like left.
Amazing. You
And
have
I
turned
feel
into an
bad.
ultra runner from a sprinter. That's the transformation right there.
Yeah, that was
What
gonna be my only critique on the race was the food at the beginning, but I think I'm just being a diva.
what was your nutrition plan going into the race?
Oh, just to eat as much as possible.
Nothing in
Um,
particular?
no, I haven't had any so far. I haven't had any stomach issues. I can kind of eat whatever I want. Knock on wood, I guess. But like my stomach hasn't been an issue in races at all. So I ate a lot of quesadillas. At one point, I think I had 3 or 4 in my pack, and I'd like just kind of bring them out at random times, and people would be like, "Where'd you get that?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, just like in my bag." Um, yeah, I didn't have like a specific plan. It was really just to like shove as much food in my mouth as I could. Like at the beginning, I was probably eating every hour, every 45 minutes. Slowly turned into like every half hour, and then there were parts of the race where I actually think I was eating like the whole time. Like I was just walking and eating for like hours.
Getting
um,
ready for 200.
yes, yes. James made that comment. He's like, "This, don't tell Steph, but this is good eating for a 200." And then I think I said if I ever do a 200, I might need professional help.
Well, just know that
Uh,
I'll be here ready to crew and pace.
okay,
I
that's good
owe
to know.
people a lot of crewing and pacing miles because of my Moabs.
Yeah, that's true. You have like endless hours. Um, but yeah, I mean that's all right. I got to go to the Moab Brewery.
What was how was running through the night for your first 100 miler? I can't say your first time because Never Summer.
Yeah.
Um, how prepared did you feel for that because of Never Summer and your like other experiences
Yeah.
running, pacing, etc.
I mean, it didn't bother me at all just because like I had someone with me, like either Amanda or James, who were they crewed and both paced me. I had them at all times, so I didn't even really feel like it was a callback to Never Summer just because I've done a lot of stuff, either starting early in the morning and being in the dark or whatever with both of those, with Amanda and James a lot. So it felt very normal, very comfortable, very, you know, just that's just what we do. And it felt like it went by really fast. Um, but yeah, I wasn't spooked. There was a few times where there's so many trees, a lot of forested sections, but the trees would kind of like creak and make like a really like creepy kind of noise. Whereas if I was alone, probably wouldn't have liked that. But yeah, it was good. The night was good.
Nice. How was it having your best friend Amanda with you? You've known Amanda since you were like what, 0? And
Yeah.
I would say well, he was your boyfriend during the race, but now he's your
Yes.
fiance.
Yes.
So how was it having both of them as your crew and your pacer? Um, yeah, how was that?
I mean, it was great. I spend a lot of my time running with those two in general, so it kind of just felt like we were, you know, out for a normal kind of day. But let me think. I mean, they just bring really good energy. I mean, Amanda. Amanda's just like a ball of sunshine, and like and like James was obviously like in good spirits too, and really supportive. And he's very good at like decision making and making like quick decisions. So having him and her work together and like to kind of get things going, like he would take off my socks or well my shoes first. I didn't wear my socks over my shoes. He would take off my shoes, take off my socks. He would like put body glide on my feet. And while this was happening, Amanda would be like bringing me food. I'd just be like sitting back in a chair, just kind of like fanning myself, like I felt like a star. And yeah, I mean, it was really great to see both of them. Um, they're I feel like there's other stuff that happened with them. I don't know. I mean, I
Is there
think
any?
they did a whole bunch of stuff while I was running. I think they like went out to eat with Joel, who has been on this podcast and you are close with, Joel Gartenberg, and they went on like a run, and then yeah.
Nice. Do you have a favorite? What part of the race do you think you'll remember most, like 10 years from now?
Dude, probably the zoomies. Like when I really got the zoomies. I was feeling a little bit low energy for a lot of the first half. And then I took a very small amount of caffeine. I'm not really sure why it hit the way that it did, but I just started like I really don't know how to describe it besides I got the zoomies. Like when your cat just kind of like runs up and down the stairs like really fast, like randomly. And seeing that waterfall and coming back. And yep, it's gotta be the zoomies, I think.
Uh,
Yeah.
So, do you have another question? So, you are listed in the official results as a Hood 100 finisher, but the
Yeah.
ultra running community has been chatting about you since the race. They're all wondering, Lizzy, you never posted your Hood 100 data on Strava. So did it really happen? And a fierce, I just want you to know, I'm just saying what the community's saying, that a fierce
Community.
debate rages on whether or not your finish counts since it's on Strava. What are your thoughts about this? And what would you say to any of the haters out there on this
Okay, I
topic?
have a lot to say. First off, the most legit is probably Ultra Sign Up, I would say, because people cheat on Strava all the time. They get in their cars. You ever like leave your watch on while you're in the car and then it like says that you ran like a 3 minute mile? Because that's happened to me and I don't correct it.
I
So
I've never tried it. Is this on purpose or by accident?
no, it was by accident, and I don't even know if I knew how to correct it. It doesn't matter though, because I don't post on Strava, so no one was like, "Wow, she's gotten really fast at the mile." Um,
Oh,
um,
actually, I forgot to turn my watch off once, and Strava wouldn't take the data because they said that I
you
was
were
in
too
a car.
fast. Oh yeah, uh, yeah. I mean, I don't like Strava. I think Strava sucks, at least for me. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Blah, blah, blah. I don't intend. I do have a secret Strava that is on private. I don't look at other people's stuff, and I don't let other people look at mine. I think my picture is like I know my picture is a head of lettuce that says never give up. You will not find me that way, and even if you do, you can't see my information. uh, and yeah, I think it was legit. I have the hoodie. You don't
That's
just
fair.
get this hoodie.
Yeah, I
Is that a
can't just
Dave
go online
question?
and buy one. I
Yeah.
actually came up with that one.
You're the ultra running community.
Yes. I think I can speak for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Dave did ask because he didn't about Strava. But no, I will not be on
I
Strava.
I was really hoping that that would be the only run that you put on Strava so that it's your only run and your average run is 100 miles. I thought that would have been really funny.
Yeah, I know. There's definitely some drawbacks, but I'm gonna keep it with my tall trail tales because I think that's where my true self shines with my
So,
50 followers.
what was your time for the Hood 100 and would you run 100 miles again after your first experience?
Yeah, it was 30 hours and 25 minutes, 26 minutes, 20 something, under a half hour. Um, and would I ever run one again? Yes, I will. I don't know when, probably next. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know when. I haven't looked, but I likely will.
Is well, first of all, 30 or 30 26 or whatever. That's pretty good
Yeah,
for your first 100, especially with considering the fact that this race had, I believe the number was 17,000 feet of gain. Um,
yeah,
plus, I mean, it's your first one, but you did it right, like going from, or not that there's a right or a wrong way, but I mean, you probably learned a lot from running 50Ks, pacing, crewing, 100K to 100 mile. You did this over the course of a few years. It wasn't like you just showed up to your first 100 overnight.
yeah,
Like, some people do that and they succeed, but it seemed like you were kind of just taking care of business out there.
Yeah. Well, I think oh my God, my goal in this sport is to run as long as I want to, and when I decide I don't want to, I can stop. But I don't ever want to be like pushed out of running ultras because I like can't handle it or I develop like a bad mindset or something like that. So it was important for me to collect as much information as possible before I ran this 100 because I think if I just went into 100, it's likely I would have had a very miserable time and that would have made me not want to keep running or had a different outlook on the sport, at least for me. um, I think all of the crewing and pacing and running different types of 100Ks. I've also read like 1/4 of 5 different ultra books. I don't usually finish them, but I've like read some of like a whole bunch. um, so yeah, collecting information is very important to me and protecting
Just
my peace in this sport. Okay, just ignore that comment.
read the first quarter of a bunch of ultra running books. When I write a book,
Yeah,
Lizzie, are you going to read the whole thing?
you should see my Kindle library. But yeah, it is important for me to learn a lot or put myself in a position where I know I might fail, but I feel like I kind of did what I could. And then you just kind of got to give yourself to the 100 gods and you just got to hope for the best. That's what I said to
Or
myself before I ran. I was like, I did the work. 100 gods take me away. And there's only so much I can control. And the rest of it is up to the 100 gods, whatever that means to anybody. But yeah.
so I think of like the pray for Nar, like when skiers and boarders are like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we need a pow day. uh, are there any races that pique your interest in the future?
uh, not honestly, not off the top of my head. I've looked at like the Crested Butte 50. That's like a shorter race. I'm pretty sure it's sold out. But there's not like I don't know. I haven't looked a lot at hundreds just because I haven't looked a lot at hundreds, I guess. So no, not really. I'll have to do some research, see if there's more like alliteration out there or just other good vibes. Uh, yeah. No, if you have any recommendations, let me know.
I'm gonna go find alliterations for you after this.
I feel like yeah, the Hood 100 hoodie is probably the only good one out there. I'm gonna have to probably take a different approach because I think it'll be very limiting if I only I'll just pick off vibes, I
Only.
guess. Something I get
Uh,
excited about.
what what are your top values and how has ultra running helped you hone them?
Oh, okay. Top values and how is ultra running help me home them? I don't know if this is a value. Well, can anything be a value?
Anything.
I was gonna say emotional regulation. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna say that as a value because I work very hard to do that, or I have been working very hard to do that. And a way that ultra running lets me do that is by practicing emotion regulation in a very safe environment, and practicing um, trying to not make decisions based off how I feel in the moment when I'm running, or trying to reel myself back in when I'm feeling really down. Like if I'm having like a low point, like I need to figure out, okay, how do I get out of this? What are the steps I take towards this? Do I just need to sit in this feeling until it passes? Those kind of things. Or sometimes I'll get like too excited and I'll be like, okay, is this like an appropriate feeling to have right now? Do I need to like bring it down a little bit? Am I getting like a little bit ahead of myself? So the endurance races have been really, really good for me to practice those types of things because that's something that I've struggled with before and still do now. Um, Another one would be friendship. um, and yeah, I mean, I've seen all these, you, for example, Amanda, for example, and James, for example, because I've already talked about them and they're big examples, but like I've seen I've been able to connect with you guys in a very like specific and niche way that I think a lot of people don't really get to experience. Like I've seen you at your highest and your lowest in a race context. And celebrating a win, not a win, but celebrating a race or celebrating a decision and all of that in like a group setting is really great. And people that run ultras are oftentimes pretty cool so far that I've experienced. How many more do I have to do?
Oh, as many as you want.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it with those two because I feel like I talked about them for long enough.
You're good. I know we've been recording for something like around an hour 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
So I'll try and start wrapping it up with you out of respect for time. Um, but I got it. You knew this question was coming from the start because it's a topic I love. What is your definition of greatness?
Okay. Right now, at this time, currently, for me, it is knowing when enough is enough and knowing when you need to push yourself. I think that requires a lot of self-reflection, trial and error, and I think that the greatest things happen when you can like walk that line. So that's my answer. I think there's a fine line between the two and you gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
Have I? No.
Oh
I'm
my
working
gosh.
on it.
Well, before we finish up, and I think I just have, I'm looking at my question sheet. I always make question sheets just in a Word document. I have to write down all my questions for people because I like talking to people, but I'm not smart enough to remember everything I want to ask in the moment. I think we covered everything pretty well. Before we finish up, I do want to commend you for a few things. Like we talked about, I want to commend you for being patient and being process oriented. Going like taking a few years before you ran your first 100 miler to really figure the sport out. Going like from 50K to 100K to 100 miles over a few years, I think is really something a lot of people try to skip over these days, but I think it's really important that you learn how to be patient and process oriented in order to succeed. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
I
Protecting my
want
peace.
I also want to commend you for being a great friend, for your creativity and your ability to make people laugh and smile, and being a caring cat mom that you are.
Oh man, thanks.
If you could be remembered for teaching the world one lesson, what would that lesson be?
Oh no. Um, one lesson. Oh God. Oh no. Just one.
Two lessons.
Yeah, I don't know why I said just one as if I want more. Um, I'm trying to think about something with a lesson. Can I you have to, oh no, I'm starting to sweat. Um the lesson I'm gonna make this like really random. It's gonna be about cats. My lesson is to take time to pet a cat because it will boost your emotional well-being.
I love it. Before we wrap up, last question for you is if people want to follow you on your running journey or whatnot, I know you're not on Strava. Do you have any social media accounts where people can keep up with a lizard?
Yeah, if you want to read silly tales, you can follow my it's at Tall Trail Tales on Instagram. And there's some really good tall trail tales in there.
They're hilarious. People need to, if
You
you're looking
think?
for,
Thanks, man.
yeah,
My
I
aunt
think they're
commented and
great.
said I was the funniest person she knew, so maybe that counts for something.
You think she's going to listen to this?
I don't know. I could send it to her. Aunt Sam, what up?
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for being on the pod, Lizzy. This is Long overdue, but I am happy that we saved it for after your first 100 and after we can officially say that you're engaged to James. So I'm super
Oh,
pumped for
true.
both of you guys.
He's
What
probably.
an awesome month and running career it's been for you so far. I am super excited to see what the future has in store for you.
Thanks, man. I'm sure you will see because you'll be crewing and pacing.
200 pound?
Oh my God, no.
We'll end it there.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Journey Running Podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please do make sure to like, rate, and subscribe to the show. As always, if you're looking for a running coach or a registered dietitian, you can reach out to me directly at journeyrunningsllc@gmail.com, or you can find more information about myself and coaching services at journeyruncoaching.com. Thank you all once again for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of your day.